Hello, my name is Raina McDonald and I'm with Glitter and Glue Card Club, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you an alternative design for the June 2021 Paper Pumpkin Kit by Stampin' Up. This month's kit is called Expressions in Color, and it coordinates with the Expressions in Ink suite in the current annual catalog. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, but I am not a Stampin' Up purist. I have a huge stash of paper crafting supplies with products from various designers and supplies from a lot of different vendors. So I'll be using these other products along with my Stampin' Up products in these videos that I'm putting up. I don't in fact have the Expressions in Ink Designer Series paper, but I'm hoping to get it soon. So let's get to today's card. First, I'm going to show you what the cards that were designed by the Paper Pumpkin Kit should look like. In the box comes everything you need to make 9 of these cards, 3 of each design. Now, I never make the designs as they come in the kit, so we're going to start off by showing you alternatives right out of the box. This is what's left in my box. And still quite a few pieces that will make a few more cards. But today we're going to be focusing on making a birthday card. I've been requested by a friend to make a birthday card for her daughter, so that's where we're going with today. I'm showing you the supplies that are in my card kit. I tend to make a kit ahead of time, so I know I have everything I need when I'm going to go on video. The card dimensions for this card are your typical A2 card size in basic white. That means it's 4 1/4 across by 11 inches long, and then it's scored at 5 1/2. And this is folded in half and scored with a bone folder to give a good crisp edge, and it makes a top opening or a tent style card. This piece is the back of one of the cards that came in the kit, and it is in one of the new designer series colors, called Fresh Freesia, and I've trimmed the card in half, and then I cut this piece down so that it is going to fit on the front of the card, and I believe the measurements are 4 by 5 1/4, which gives you an image that just fits right in the middle of a card with a little border around each of the sides, about 1/8 of an inch border. Now, what I did with this card is I ran this layer through a Darice embossing folder. I don't know the name of this embossing folder. It's been in my stash for many years. But I like what this folder does for the cardstock. It really adds some dimension and some texture to the card. So I'm showing you how, if you can see it, how much the image is enhanced by using the embossing folder. So the front of this card was a designer cardstock. It was a patterned cardstock, and I cut it off in the front of the card, and then I cut it in half, which I've then cut into 2 smaller strips. One of which I'll use as an accent strip on this card front, and the other smaller one I'm going to use on another card. So I'm just going to set that aside for now. To enhance this pattern paper, I took some liquid glue with a fine tip nozzle, and I put some veining on the card. So I followed some of the lines, and I let the glue dry until it was tacky. It wasn't completely dry. And then I used the gold foil flakes that I brushed on, pressed in, and then brushed off the excess. This gave the pattern paper a nice raised effect. I'm going to be using some of this baker's twine that I had in my stash. I don't know who made this particular version of the baker's twine. It is just a spool that I've had in my drawers for some time. I have several of various different colors. Don't know where I picked it up, but it's not a perfect match, but I think it's going to do just fine. So I'm going to use the sentiment Celebrate, cut in gold foil from this word die. Again, I don't know who made it. It's in my stash, organized according to the sentiments word bin. So this piece of vellum flower is 1/2 of the die cut that was included in the paper pumpkin kit. And I'm going to use it on the front of this card next to this accent piece. So let's assemble the card. First, I'm going to adhere this fresh freesia cardstock layer to the front of the card using a strong adhesive tape runner. The one I'm using is Scotch brand extra strength tape runner. You can get it at Joann's or at Staples or any office supply store. And the trick here is to be very careful as you place your layer on top, showing about a 1/8 inch border on all 4 sides. Once you press this down, that extra strength adhesive is not letting up for you to reposition this in any way. So be careful as you get it laid down and get it centered as well as possible on your card front. So this accent piece of DSP, I'm actually going to pop this up on foam dimensional dots. These Stampin' Up! Dimensionals came in the Stampin' Up! Paper Pumpkin Kit for June, and I'm using what's left of them. You can use the edges of the sheet as well as the center part. They call this the bones. And you just trim them down to the size you need, and they work just as well as the rest of the card. So before I actually adhere this down, I'm going to check for the position of this accent piece and the vellum flower die cut as well. The problem with using vellum on cards is that it's transparent, so you can see whatever adhesive you're using to adhere it to the card. So you have to get creative with how to apply these dimensional accent pieces without showing the glue or the adhesive. So I'm actually going to use the bones of the dimensionals to attach it to the side of this accent DSP, and that's how I'm going to adhere it to the card front without using any glue underneath the flower portion, so that you will be able to see it. So you can see that this is where I realized that I had forgotten to stamp the inside of my card. And I like to do that before I work on the outside of the card, because if I make a mistake, I can correct it without too much trouble. And I haven't used up the design element pieces of my card yet. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp the inside before I finish working on the outside. I am using the Highland Heather stamp pad because I don't have the Fresh Freesia ink pad. But there are so many purple in this piece of Designer Series paper that I don't think there's going to be a problem. I think this Highland Heather will work just fine. I'm using the word you, and below that I'm going to stamp the words are wonderful from an earlier Stampin' Up! Card kit. Don't remember if it was a paper pumpkin, but it might have been one of the other card kits. Now I'm going to stamp the word happy birthday below that with this other larger stamp, but I'm checking to make sure that it's clean before I try and ink it up. So you can see I'm using a chamois to clean my stamp before I put my ink on it. I keep my chamois in a DVD case, keep it moist. And now I am using my stamp and pierce mat so that I can get a better impression with the photopolymer stamp. It doesn't have the foam that a red rubber stamp has, built into it, so we put a little foam underneath it to give it some more cushioning, and then stamp down and straight up, and hopefully we get a nice crisp clear image. And I think this one looks pretty good. I should have used the Stampin' Pierce mat for the previous stamps, but they were smaller and I got away without messing it up too badly. Now I've just realized I wanted to, before I put away this stamp pad, I want to use this little flower that came in the June Paper Pumpkin kit to add a couple of more flourishes to the inside sentiment. Now that the inside of my card is finished, I can go back to working on the outside of my card. I'm going to adhere this Celebrate sentiment down with liquid glue, so I'm swapping out my Stampin' Pierce mat for the silicone mat. This way, if I mess up and get glue everywhere, it will only be on the mat where it can wash off with soap and water. This fine tip on the art glitter glue is really great for putting delicate sentiments and elements onto your cards. Just put a lot of little tiny dots where needed, and you can adhere anything. Don't forget to put the stainless steel pin back into the top of the glue bottle, because if you forget, it will clog. This glue dries very quickly. So these sticky back sequins came in the Paper Pumpkin kit, and they're a very iridescent, pretty color, and I am going to add some of these to the card to give it just a little bit more bling. They say you should use odd number of elements because it's more pleasing to the eye, so I think here I'm going to go with 5 sequins. So my card is almost finished, and now I'm going to show you how to decorate the envelope. I always do a decorated envelope with a card. It just makes it more fun for the recipient, and I even think it makes it fun for the mail carriers working through the system. But anyway, this stamp is from the Paper Pumpkin kit. It's the Ink Splot or Sploosh stamp, and I used different colors to create this variegated effect. I used Blackberry Bliss from Stampin' Up, Lulu Lavender from Memento, and Rosebud from Memento. I stamped it on the back flap and then down in the corner, and I used a stamp from the February Paper Pumpkin kit called Sending Hearts, and this stamp says, "Sending love your way." So using, again, old Paper Pumpkin sentiments, I love the stamp sets that we get in these kits. So the last thing to do on this card is to create my bow for the front of the card. And I'm using the lavender baker's twine, cutting the string in 2 so I can make a double bow using the bunny ears method of bow creation. It's a little fiddly to get this sized right with the right size bunny ears and right size strings, but just make your bow to the size that fits your card and then adjust it as necessary and trim off any excess string. Now I'm going to use a glue dot to adhere the bow to the front of the card. And there you have it, my finished card. Another alternative for the Paper Pumpkin card kit for June 2021 called Expressions in Color. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit the thumbs up button below and give it a like. And if you would like to see more videos by me, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you get a notice whenever I put up new content. Again, thanks for watching.